Call the meeting to order and ask you to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good morning and welcome to the October 22nd, 2018 County Commission meeting. I would remind you to silence your cell phones. The meeting documents are on the end of the counter in the white folder. And if you need a listening device, Craig is in the front and he could help you with that. Move on to routine business. Item number 1 is a motion to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Yep, no, I need an amendment to the agenda first.
I'd make a motion to approve the agenda, deleting the executive session at the end of the meeting.
I have a motion.
Second.
On the amendment, a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. And now I need a motion to approve the amended agendas.
That is my motion.
Thank you.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 2 is approve the commission meeting minutes from October 16, 2018.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Bills to be paid in the amount, item number 3, bills to be paid in the amount of $866,055.09.
Pay the bills.
Motion,
Second.
second. Comments, Commissioner Barth?
Madam Chair, interestingly, today's bills include $9,000 for blood draws and $6,500 for 3 funerals. The amount also includes highway projects totaling $521,000. One project, Highway 137, was $433,000.
Puts our bills more in line if you take the highway out. So. Okay, I have a motion and a second on the bills. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item number 4 is reports. Item A is the Minnehaha County Sheriff's Report for September 2018, and that's on file at the Auditor's Office. Item number 5 is personnel actions. Item A is consider a motion to approve the routine personnel actions.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. Item B is consider a motion to approve the 2019 Health and Dental Premium Insurance Review.
Good morning, Carrie Deaver from Human Resources. This is the time of the year that we review our health claims and our dental claims and determine what premiums to set for the upcoming year. Trish, thanks for driving for me. I appreciate that. Can I have you scroll up or down, I guess, in this case, a little bit to the first chart? What I want to review with you is some health insurance information first, and this is the chart that you're used to seeing each year that summarizes the main contributors to the cost of our health plan, which is our health claims, our administrative fees, our stop-loss insurance, our prescription drug costs, and then our pharmacy admin fees as well. I have a couple things highlighted for you. The first highlight in the first column is slightly pink, which shows you where our health claims ended last year, which was around $4.3 million. If you look at the previous 4 years, you can see that there was a significant increase from past years. And you'll recall that last year, as we talked about it, we said that our claims were going up, so that it was a significant increase, and we're hoping a bit of an anomaly. However, as you're looking into 2018, you can see that we've already incurred over $2.8 million in health claims, which is consistent with where we were ending total years the previous years prior to 2017. So the bottom line is we're having the second bad year probably in a row. So the news that I have for you today is overall I'm recommending about a 6% increase for our health insurance. The reason I'm doing that is for a couple of reasons. First, that is the budgeted amount. Secondly, I think it's an appropriate increase to plan for next year. But I want you to be aware of this increasing trend and the fact that for the first time that I've ever been in front of you, I am recommending that we underfund slightly. So that box at the bottom will show you really what we're projecting for monthly costs for the upcoming year. Like last year, I'm giving you a range of about $3 million to $3.5 million in health claims, and I think that's in a reasonable range to give you. If we do that, we're looking at about monthly expenses of around $458,000 to $500,000 for next year. With the 6% increase in claims, that gives us a funding level of about 0.97. So again, I'm recommending underfunding slightly. Why would I do that? Again, first is because that is the budgeted amount. Second is we're having this huge spike in our claims. And with any luck, that won't continue. And I don't want to overreact or overcorrect given our last 20 months of experience. The other reason I think that's an appropriate amount to budget is due to our pharmacy costs. Talking about our health claims increase, but if you look down that column, you'll see that we also had a significant increase in prescription costs over the past few years. We're working with a new group that is helping us look at that, and they're recommending a coalition that will hopefully save us about 12% on the prescription side. If we do that, the 6% increase will be more than enough to cover for next year. I just want you to be aware that while we're hoping and looking at that, it's likely that next year I'll be recommending that we budget a little bit higher. The other thing that I am recommending, just to keep us more on trend and make sure that we're making appropriate adjustments, is 2 or 4 actual increases to our out-of-pocket maximum expenses, both for maximums, both for in-network and out-of-network. Those haven't been adjusted since 2003 and 2010 for individual and family, so I'm recommending increases of about $250 for the individual, $500 for the family on the in-network side. That's not going to make a huge impact on what you're looking at here, but that, along with a small increase on the specialty pharmacy, should help about 0.9% of an impact on that there. So between those two factors, I think the 6% is adequate or appropriate, I should say, at this point in time, and that's what I'm recommending on the health side. If you could go down one more for me, I'll show you quickly the impact of that. If you could go a little bit further. On the bottom there, that shows you what the impact to the employees are for those increases. So for employee only, it would go up 4.4 per pay period. For E+1, it's about $10.55, and for family, a little less than $15 per pay period. Any questions on the health side before I go to dental?
Commissioner Bender?
Just one quick question. The growth in the expense, is that because of a number of claims, aggregate, total-wise, or do we have large claims that are throwing the picture out of focus, so to speak?
Yes, predominantly the latter, but
Okay.
both.
Okay.
Chair,
Yep, sorry.
quick question, and Carrie and I talked about this a little bit yesterday, and question didn't come to mind, so if you need to get back to me, that's fine, but what if sticks out in my mind. What if we don't, it comes back and funding at 0.97 isn't enough and we need to go higher? What recourse do we have? Where can we go?
It's increase in premiums, so.
Can we do a mid-year?
And in fact, we have done that. I think it was about 20 years ago that there was a sharp correction that needed to be done, and there was a mid-year change in the premiums. I'm
Okay.
hoping that won't be necessary. I'm hoping we can plan, but I do expect that next year during budget, I'll be recommending closer to a 10 to 12% adjustment to be enough. But absolutely, we could do a mid-year adjustment if needed.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Bender, excuse me.
And then this is more of a comment necessarily than a question for Carrie, but because we've also had an opportunity to talk through these numbers a little bit. And this is not great news, but we have to remember we had a number of years where we had really good claims experience, where we were able to give some premium holidays to folks when other people in the marketplace were experiencing double-digit increases. And so I just really want to thank Carrie for the job that she does managing this fund. And, even though this isn't great news overall, this is a great benefit to our employees. And, I trust that she's going to be watching these numbers carefully. And I am hopeful that, that's why you have insurance, because you have, everybody has the risk of having some major critical issue. That's why we have stop-loss coverage to help us manage those really large risks. And, I think overall we're doing a really good job with this. And, the fact that we haven't really had to increase out-of-pocket maximums for, a long time. I don't know very many businesses in this marketplace that have been able to do that. So while this isn't great, I really still do think we have a really good benefit for our employees.
Thank you. Commissioner Barth?
Gary, you don't happen to know offhand how many premium holidays we've had over the last few years, do you?
Over the last, no. I would estimate about 6 over the last 4 years.
Right.
We
that's
didn't
a-
do any last year, but yeah.
Thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner Bender. And I guess I would also say that your department has been leading the way on wellness programs for our county, trying to keep our employees there, giving them the opportunity to stay healthy and keep these premiums down. So thank you for your work.
Thank you. Thank you. And we appreciate our employees who are participating and taking advantage of those opportunities too, because every little bit helps.
Okay.
Okay, if we want to go down to dental. The news there is similar, but maybe less of a huge spike. Over the past year, we're experiencing currently about a 15% increase in dental claims. That doesn't concern me. If you've been on the commission for a while, you know that dental tends to do this. It goes up and down with the claim years. And I don't know that I can really explain that. I think part of the spike for this year has to do with the increased orthodontia benefit that we approved a couple years ago. Also, it might have something to do with the period of time that we're looking at and knowing that claims are a little bit high for dental over the summer months. But with that, whereas normally we're projecting a trend of maybe 5 to 6%, this year we're going to use an 8% instead, increase that a little bit, knowing what our experience has been up for the last 2 years. With that, a 6% increase in dental will also balance what we're expecting our claims and expenses to be next year. So that's our recommendation for dental. No changes in plan design.
Okay. Questions on that? All right. Do we need a motion on this, Carrie?
We do.
We do need a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the 2019 health and dental premium insurance.
Second.
And a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. Item number 6 is abatements recommended for approval. There are none. Item number 7 is notices and requests. There are none. Item number 8 is planning and zoning notices. There are none. Item number 9 is petition for compromise of lien. There's none. And next we have opportunity for public comment. So if you'd like to speak about anything that's not on the agenda today, you get 5 minutes. So,
I suggested to Jay here that we would discuss his situation during new business. Is that possible, or are we going to limit him to 5 minutes?
I'm asking council.
Well, I don't know what the circumstances are there. The commissioner is, you know, obviously welcome to raise with the other commissioners any item of new business. I think that the issue before you is we have a member of the public who's indicated that he wishes to speak on something not on the agenda, and at the present time, there's no item on the agenda. I mean, I think new business is just that opportunity for the commissioners to share any new information that they have so that everybody is aware. And so I would suggest that we have a member of the public who's indicated he wants to speak, and so I would proceed in that fashion.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Barth.
So I asked Carol Muller, our Chief of Staff, to put it on the agenda, and she said she needed to check with you. And I don't know about the rest of you, but other items that are on the agenda, no one checks with me. I don't know why an item on the agenda needs to be voted on by others, but as long as you are somewhat patient with Mr. Major here, I'm certainly happy to let this happen now.
Thank you. Mr. Major, you have to identify yourself.
Jay Major, MedStar Paramedic Ambulance, Brandon, South Dakota, President and CEO. I brought with me today Justin Pfeiffer. He's my Director of Operations, and my wife is back running the shop. So the reason I wanted to speak with you, and I did leave 2 messages with Carol, your administrator, and I hope she's not ill or something, but she never got back to me about my questions. Pardon me?
She's gone.
She's gone, okay. Yeah, well, that answers my question.
Yep.
So, some call it a subsidy, I call it a standby fee. Now, I have fought from 2000 up till now to be a provider in the county and the city of Brandon. I fought. And some of this fighting that I have done has cost my family dearly, because there's not a day that goes by that I don't lose money providing services in the county and the city of Brandon. Not one day that goes by that I don't lose money, and I've made it up with all of my private business, which is great if I was a single guy that didn't have a family to be concerned about and kids to put through school also. I think through the years I've proven myself, everything I said I would do, I have done, and I have exceeded everything I said I would do. Our response times in Brandon, because we have a fully staffed, 6 ambulances in Brandon, we have 1 in Sioux Falls, 6 paramedic ambulances in Brandon with an average of 3 to 4 minute response time, and in the county, 8 to 10 minute response time on average. That's because we're a fully staffed ambulance service, paramedic level, that backs up Garrettson when they don't have something available, especially on the days that they only have volunteers, and anybody else in the county. We have dedicated our lives and our system to Minnehaha County and the residents of Brandon and anybody else that we cover, that we do business with. And this year I asked for a standby fee because as you so well put it, 6% raise, 8% raise in healthcare here. Well, my insurance went up 100% on my 911 coverage. There was a company that spoke with you just a few weeks ago, maybe a month ago, about wanting to come in and provide business. Well, that company was not a 911 service. That company was a transfer service only, which means they didn't have to staff 24/7 like we did. And that company is no longer here. So that kind of tells you where the money is and isn't. Now, they couldn't make it just doing transfers. And that's all they were doing, is taking it from the rest of us. So I asked for really a pittance of my loss. My loss to provide 911 services for 1 ambulance, not 6. We've had up to 4 on the road, 5 on the road for 911 calls. I asked for the same thing that the other providers were getting. Now, unlike my friends in Sioux Falls, Paramedics Plus, they do 16 to 18,000 calls a year. Their trucks are constantly moving, which is why that they don't need help, because their trucks are always moving. My trucks are sitting waiting for a call. And when that call comes in, we respond and we save lives. And I was really taken back when I got in my email last Friday, something that told me that my request had been denied and nobody had talked to me about it, other than the ones that have stopped by my office and had learned the reasons that we needed this money. My losses last year were over $400,000 on the 911 system. I made it back on my transfer business. And I also opened up a transit business, wheelchair lay-down business. Do you know why I opened that up? So I could pay for my ambulance service business. And so I was asking for just a little bit of relief to help me with my expenses. I think that anybody working for the county is getting paid. They're getting paid, including you folks up here in the council. You're getting paid to do county business. The only person that I can think of in the county that's actually subsidizing the county is me. And I've been subsidizing it since the day I opened because that was my passion, and I said I would do that. I'm asking for a little bit of help to keep providing the excellence in service that we provide. You go and look at the J. Fitch study. Read through that. And I didn't agree with that study at all, but read through that. See what it says about this services in this county being able to sustain itself. Well, we all saw the J. Fitch study. I saw it. And I worked the last year with the county to provide the input that we gave you for the new licensing credentials and things. So I would like you to reconsider the help that we need to keep providing the excellent service that we provide, and I would dare say that there's no place in the country that provides the response times that we provide. When anybody here is driving up the 406, the 402, and you crash, and you don't have our service there within 5 or 6 or 7 minutes, the first thing I'm going to get is a phone call from somebody. Why ain't you there? But the last thing I seem to get is the respect and the responsibility of when I ask for help, a little bit of help, and I'm not asking for a charity. This isn't charity. I'm already subsidizing the service. I'm asking to take the edge off, to help me a little bit so I can treat my family and my kids like everybody else does in their businesses.
Jay?
Yes.
Let me just say that I really think the problem is partially my fault here because I knew that this issue had been suggested by you, that was the appeal to the county had been made. And as liaison to the ambulance group, when we were addressing these things in our budget hearings, I didn't really bring it forward enough. And the fact is we were kind of hectically dealing with many suggestions asking for money, whether it's many nonprofits and stuff all line up to see if they can get a subsidy. And I did not insist that we as a group directly address this. I think you were sort of lumped in as an outside agency and put aside because, in fact, we don't want to spend more money in general. That's our attitude. And so, to a certain extent, I'm responsible for this not having been addressed more directly during our budget hearings. And so for that, I apologize. Now, let me say that in the meantime here, we have several ambulance districts, and all of them operate at very little cost to Minnehaha County. I know that other counties spend millions of dollars on having their own ambulance, and we give Humboldt, Del Rapids, and Garrettson $50,000 each, which is a fraction of our $80+ million budget. And I can't say that we can do anything right now, but I just wanted to say that to a good extent this is my fault, and I think we will be looking at this going forward here.
And in closing, I'll just say this. I'm not looking at blame, I'm not looking at fault, and I appreciate every one of you. And I've learned through my 50-some years of life that all because I want something doesn't mean I get it. It means that everybody has their own personal views on things. But my personal view for the county and for the people in this county should be well known by everybody that I care. And I've been trying to provide these services, and I had to fight to provide them. And I think it's a pittance of what I'm asking for. And I know it's taxpayers' dollars, and I know I'm a private business. But I'm a private business who right now is subsidizing taxpayer dollars to provide services. And if I could do that and I could be financially healthy and stable and my cost didn't go up like the county's cost and everybody else's cost goes up, I wouldn't be standing here. And I haven't stood here for how many years? You haven't had to pay me anything for how many years? And I lost money all those years. So I'm just asking for you to reconsider. Come and talk to us. I can show you around again if you need to. But I'm not here begging. I'm here as a businessman saying, I'm providing a service, and I think we need a little bit of help on the standby fee so we can continue to provide the service that we've been providing. And thank you for your time, and thanks for giving me more than 5 minutes probably.
That's fine. Thanks. Is there anyone else that would like to speak during public comment? Okay, with that, we'll move on to regular business. Item number 10 is a briefing on the Wall Lake Trail System. Brian Hagan.
Good morning. My name is Brian Hagan. I'm a resident out at Wall Lake, and this is Tessa Schwanz, and she's a resident out there as well. Thanks for having us here today. We originally met with Jeff and discussed this about a few years ago. We've always kind of thrown the idea around of having a trail system out there. And when Tessa and her husband moved to the neighborhood, that conversation kind of started back up. And one of those things as we looked at is to say, when you get out into the rural community, there's really no access point for people to use a trail system to, ride safe, with their bikes. We see them up and down the highway. Obviously, that's not the safest place to be doing that, especially you're not going to be doing that with kids. And so with the Wall Lake and how we've seen that, the usage of that increased over the years, and with the Wall Lake, Minnehaha County Park out there, we thought this would be a great idea to bring this out there to not only provide for the Wall Lake residents, but also the rural community out there. We also know there are some plans, 5-year plans to connect different communities. We also think there may be an opportunity to connect maybe like a Hartford down to Wall Lake and to the west side of Sioux Falls. And so we're here today to essentially ask for your support. We're not sure how that may work yet, whether that's a financial support or just your vocal support. First and foremost, I think it'd be a vocal support to say, yes, we think this would be good for the community, and this is something we can get behind. Secondly, if it's not a financial support, as we know, budgets can be strenuous on, you have lots of people here asking for different things, and but to look to you to say, okay, if we have your support, maybe it's allowing us to work with some engineers to actually plat it out, using some county resources, or working with CCOG, having your support to say to CCOG, okay, work with this group, this entity as they go out to do the fundraising or to help us write grants. Because we think it's a great opportunity to help provide to the residents out there. You want to add anything, Tessa?
Just like Brian was saying, I think our overall view for the entire county and for the residents of Sioux Falls and Wall Lake and Hartford is just to have an overall vision of a safe place for kids to go and ride their bike, explore nature, use the lake, have access to that point in a safe manner. I know in the past, and I've lived here for 18 years, and I know there's been lots of accidents on Highway 42, and it's been kind of scary to think that, you can't really ride your bike safely out there on Highway 42, or even on that road going into Hartford without having a death wish. So that makes it kind of a nice, safe area for kids in the Wall Lake area. Also to ride out there eventually, like Brian was saying, to maybe connect it to Hartford at some point. I know Hartford has the bike trail system that they've started, and I think it's been a really beautiful, process. And I think it would be really an amazing thing to connect it to Wall Lake and just create that, for, not just for the Wall Lake residents, but for all residents of Minnehaha County to enjoy.
One of the things, if you look at the map, when we looked at this, because we've started conversations with the state DOT, we've met with the county DOT, we've talked with the Sioux Falls gentleman who's in charge of, Parks and Recreation.
Yep.
So we're starting the process, and one of the first things that popped up always, that everyone said, well, are you going on private land? And we've looked at, and we don't want to go on any private land. We want to stick with the right-of-way along the road. So it's as you can see, the 4-mile area. So obviously that takes a big chunk out to not have to go and try to get people to, say, yes, you can go across this part of my property. There's also on the west side of the lake, there's a conservation area that's got
Yeah.
some trails. They're not paved or anything like that, but they're great nature trails. And so we just kind of view this, between that and Wall Lake Park, of tying those two together. You can utilize either one of those as a trailhead.
Or
We do
both.
view this as a paved trail, obviously, so people can utilize their bikes and everything. And so we just think it's, like I said, it's a great opportunity to bring something out to the rural residents, not just the residents of Wall Lake, but the rural residents that live out there. And if any of you bring Highway 42 in the morning, like we do, you'll realize that over the past, we've been out there, my wife and daughters and I have been out there for 8 years now. And I will tell you, in the past 3 to 4 years, it's amazing the traffic that has increased out
busy.
there dramatically. So as we all know, there's a lot of bedroom communities that are communied in. So I think if there's something out there, not everyone has to come into Sioux Falls to utilize a bike trail
Yeah.
for their kids, and not just kids, but anyone that wants to go for a run, that wants to, go for a walk with their dog.
Safely.
Yep. So we're here to ask for your support.
Questions, comments, Commissioner Benega?
Oh, I would just make a comment that CCOG does have planning grants to help projects like this, and because you're in the rural setting, I believe you should make that contact to start this process. I'm on the board for CCOG, and I'd be happy to help you through that piece if you would be interested.
Absolutely. And everyone that we've talked to has said, they think it's a great idea. We haven't had anyone say, no, this is a bad idea, but they've all said, have you talked to the commissioners yet? Because once, you really need their support. Once they kind of hear that we would have your support, then it's a lot easier to go to the CCOG and
forward.
go to the state DOT. One of the things the gentleman,
Sam?
Boothie.
Oh, DJ.
DJ, at the state has said is, obviously they're gonna be redoing Highway 42 in 2020. I wish it was 2019, but in 2020, and he said, if we can plan it around that time frame, then there's a possibility we could utilize, their pricing on asphalt and everything out there,
Same on
doing it at the same time. So I think there's a lot of things connected. We understand that, look, we've got 1 mile stretch that's gonna be working with the state DOT. We've got, a 2 mile stretch, that's gonna be working with the county DOT, and then the township on the west side, a 1 mile stretch there. So we've done a lot of research, so I think we have a good plan in place. It's just now we can't really move forward unless, we have your support, and like I said, that's what we're here for. So.
And I know we did talk to Sam from the Sioux Falls Planning and Development, and he had given us some estimated numbers from Mike Patton about what they had spent on the trails in Sioux Falls, and he was saying for concrete, they were looking at about $9 a square foot, and for asphalt, it was around $8 a square foot. So,
We know there's a lot of grants out there, as
Yeah.
you mentioned, especially in the rural area. We just learned of one the other day by the USDA that will do up to a certain amount, and a lot of that is for rural development, but a lot of that goes unused every year. And so I think we can go out on the grant side of things and raise the money. I would say long-term, we've talked about whether we want to bring it up or not, but I think long-term is to say, okay, it's one thing to go get the grants and get the project approved. It's another thing then to say, okay, who's going to maintain it? And, looking at connecting it with the Wall Lake, Park, is to say, okay, is that something that the county would consider, or how do we view this, for that maintenance of the project? And so those are questions to be asked, but I think those are pretty simple solutions in the sense that the park is out there. And I will tell you, it's been really neat. We always enjoy it, whether we're on the lake and we see that park gets utilized. I mean, it's a lot. I mean,
Yeah.
weekends it's busy, and it's really great to see. And I think this is one more thing that you can bring families out there now that I think would get utilized even more. And with the trail system that they can park and take their kids for a bike ride.
and even with the funding, like Brian was saying, I know there's lots of grants available and whatnot, but I also think that there could be some private donations too that could possibly go into, like maybe making a bench, in remembrance of somebody that maybe passed on Highway 42, or putting up a light post, or, so getting the community involved in that as well, so that it could be a somewhat of a memorial too for a lot of people that have had terrible situations happen.
Commissioner Karski.
First of all, Brian, Tessa, thank you for, when we look at the bike trail around Sioux Falls or the park system or whatever, it takes vision, and it's long-term. I mean, it really is. Commissioner Benega talked about CCOG, and on November 8th is the Urban Development Committee meeting. And we take public input there, and that's where we have the state highway transportation people, and all the communities from the area are represented at that meeting. We take public input, so I'd encourage you to come. That's a 4 o'clock meeting at the CCOG building. Don't let go of the vision, first of all. We congratulate you on that. And, I just was looking at where the Sioux Falls bike trail kind of spurs off by Family Park there. Cherry Creek flows by there, and Cherry Creek basically begins on the south side of Wall Lake. And, when we're looking at development to the west, and eventually Sioux Falls will come out to Wall Lake, and to have a trail that would connect and follow a waterway like that, you can't build houses or businesses on over a waterway, basically. So to have that plan and that vision to take it from there to the next step and connect it all together, I think would be fantastic. But I would encourage you to, it's going to take a lot of keeping it in front of people to make it happen, and it will happen if you do that. So keep moving forward, and I personally support you. I think it's a fantastic idea.
Yeah. Commissioner Bender.
And I had similar thoughts. I just wanted to say that, you made the comment you wish it was in 2019, and honestly, you still have a lot of work ahead of you, and so 2020 is probably more realistic. By the time the wheels of government move slowly, and particularly when it comes to funding. And so I'm not exactly sure what kind of support you guys need from us today. I mean, we obviously can't do any financial support today. I would be surprised if any of us are opposed
Fund
to
the
the
whole thing?
idea.
You're gonna fund the whole thing. No, we're just, it's more so the verbal support to say, yes, we think this is a good idea. So as we go to the state DOT, that we can say, look, we have the backing of the commissioners, their verbal support that they think this is a good idea. We'd like to work with you. And in 2019, I more so say because the shoulder on the highway is really bad. Yeah, but
They are.
so that's what we're looking for.
And for maybe your support to help us create awareness within the community, or like, you were saying, to maybe get in front of CCOG and,
Yeah.
show our plans further to them so that we can move forward with that.
I
If
think
I
it's
could just do one,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
if I have
ahead,
one
go ahead.
follow-up comment. And the other thing, the devil is in the details of a lot of these things, and you alluded to maintenance, which is a huge issue, honestly, going forward, because that's a lot of times it's easy to get it built and it's hard to keep it up.
Yep.
And I don't know if you've been working with Scott Anderson at all. in our planning department, but he's the guy in charge of our parks, and so I think he'd be another person to get on your team to visit with, so.
Bike trails would be great. I used to bike in the country and I pretty much quit because it's not safe.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Thank you very much. Oh, Commissioner Benega.
The only thing that I would add is I'm not sure exactly what the long-range plan is for Leif Erikson and the Girl Scouts to be there, but I think that connection as a possibility for you to cooperate with would be a conversation that you need to have with that leadership.
Yeah, I have a call in yesterday.
Oh,
So I
sorry.
didn't hear about that.
Day
Because we
late.
are looking at a kind of a two-phase project, one on the bike trails, but then two is how do we turn basically the northwest side of that lake into some type of state park or something. Kind of a bigger project. That's a long-term, that may be pie in the sky, but it was really, like I said, creating, we all know how much Sioux Falls has grown. I grew up in this town. I still call it a town. I still probably leave my car running at Hy-Vee, in the winter. But I grew up here, and I remember leaving for college. This town was, 109,000, and that was getting big at the time. And so, as this city keeps growing, we want to kind of protect what we think is a really special place out there that I think sometimes gets forgotten about. And, as Sioux Falls keeps developing, we just kind of, like I said, we're looking at how do we protect that and bring one more thing out to the rural community versus always focusing on what do we bring to this community right here. So thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Item number 11 is liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports?
Madam Chair, our planning department went to a conference in Huron over last weekend, and David and Scott are here to maybe update us on some of the things they studied and were lectured on. And I can tell you that Judge Peckus was one of the presenters chatting about some kind of planning and zoning issue near a park. Anyway, you guys want to? And we met also last night, and it was a pretty short meeting. It was a joint meeting with the city. There was not no disputed issues of any kind, and we had a issue in Lyons. That was it.
Thank you. Good morning.
David Einold, County Planning Department. Thank you, Jeff. Basically, so we started out, the conference, as Jeff mentioned, was in Huron. We got a presentation from the city planner, Ralph Borkowski, and the executive director of Cornerstone's Career Learning Center, and the Huron's superintendent. They gave a presentation on planning for diversity, because immigration with Dakota provisions there with the turkey plant, that brought in a lot of challenges to the educational system because 50% of the school district is non-white. So they presented a lot on that. As Jeff mentioned, John Peckus was there. He talked about a lot of case law updates and just things that we took back from that, just to be able to kind of learn from decisions that were made in the past and how to learn from those and making sure that everything is, making sure I's are dotted and T's are crossed, things like that with reviewing applications. So a lot of the discussion on that from his presentation focused on things like that. And so just basically we had our business meeting. It was a very good conference. We had like 90% of our membership for the Planners Association there in attendance. All different corners of the state. Not too many people from the northwest part of the state, but a lot of people from Watertown. They come down, especially the City Planning Commission. They're always big attenders at the conference, east, west, both sides. So it's a good opportunity. We did a first-time mentor match session, which was a good opportunity for newer planners to get together, because one of the things that I saw and that I haven't seen in the previous 5 years is there's more newer planners in the state, and especially filling those positions in other smaller communities and counties. It's good to see that and get people connected with each other so they can learn, not learn outside of the conferences. And really just one other thing that I'd like to briefly touch on is just, we talked a little bit at our business meeting about trying to get like half-day or one-day workshops for planning commissioners, county commissioners, just to be able to, how we can help you guys out. We obviously have the budget available to us, so we can do conferences, and it's harder to get people in a room or a day-and-a-half conference. Consistently, we do pretty good, but if you have any suggestions, like to hear them, I'll send out a memo to you all and give you another, or just a more of an overview. But thank you.
Thank you, David. Are there any questions for David? Thank you. We'll look forward to your memo. Are there any other liaison reports? Is there any new business? Any old business?
Move adjournment.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, same sign. Motion passes unanimously. We are adjourned.